again, my friends. It's me, the Bathrobe Wizard, and welcome to Bathrobe Reviews, where I don't review bathrobes. There has been a special request for me to review the first episode of the Frostworn Oath Live Play D&D podcast by Norseplay on Spotify. And I would like to point out that I am reviewing their re-edited first episode, posted after episode 8. The only cut content is them rolling for stats, which was a little confusing, and this new edit allows you to jump straight into the meat of the story, which is much more enjoyable for a listening experience. And the editing has been improved and has increased the quality of the pacing, which I enjoyed quite a bit. But speaking for rolling for stats, I do want to point out that a unique twist on playing D&D for this story specifically is that they're using a 3d6 system for rolling stats. So you roll your 3d6 and that's what you're stuck with. You roll the 3, that's your strength now. Good luck. And that is much more reminiscent of real life, where you don't get to just pick and choose and point by how you grow and develop as a person. Now, I do like the way that the characters are introduced. Everybody, like I said, is a commoner at the beginning, but they will level up into something more, and I believe that their introductions foreshadow that nicely, or at least hint towards their backstory or contribute overall. Father Osric is an 84-year-old human priest. He has introduced blessing fishing nets and calls those who request the blessing idiots when they start to tear. This hints nicely at a loss of faith, which is very interesting for a priest, and it even more so demonstrates when he levels up into a sorcerer and not a cleric. Next is Nanawe, the Selkari, which is a shark humanoid with the smuggler background. Now keep in mind, he's just a commoner and he's a smuggler, but he is seen sitting on the docks watching Father Ostrich and flipping a coin as he waits, hinting at a roguish background, which obviously synergizes really nice with being a smuggler. Next is Dara, the female human with a beast handler background. Her introduction includes smack-talking her adopted daughter, not wanting to give her money for food because she knows she already has some, which hints at kind of a shadier, more selfish nature, which will then come full circle when she levels up into a homebrew class called the Manipulator, which is basically a professional gaslighter that weaponizes deception, which is pretty neat. Last is Vallejo, who is a trash-talking, whiskey-slinging human male with the only gun. He is introduced in his shack, discussing how his gun is named after his mother, hinting at a sad backstory. Obviously, this introduction does hint nicely at the fact that he is going to level up to be a gunslinger. Now, I don't want to spoil this story at all, but I will definitely break down the fact that these people are not heroes. These are basically scumbags that meet in a bar. The first combat is basically just a knife fight because the barkeeper asked them to help when the people in the bar did not pay their parking fee for parking their boat in the dock. And so a big knife fight breaks out. None of them are wearing armor. It's just a free-for-all, and somebody gets eaten. It's crazy and very hilarious. But that is one of my favorite things about the story, is that they're not nobles, they're not sons of or daughters of the gods, and they're not saving the world. They're just people doing a favor for free whiskey. Now, my overall thoughts for this episode of the podcast is that it is fun-focused, and they prioritize that over the rules. There's plenty of homebrews, there's plenty of rule of cool, and I really feel like I'm just sitting at the table overhearing what my friends are playing. Like, I really feel like they would be doing this whether it was being recorded or not. And it is very reminiscent of other fun first podcasts like Legend of Evantris, things of that nature. And I will admit that the only real con is that things start off a little rough. They've never done podcasting before. They talk over each other a little bit. There's some sound quality issues. There is a little bit of pacing issues with the editing, but they have been very diligent to practice their craft, increase their skills, and smooth out the kinks, and to the point where it has become a very enjoyable listening experience overall. And I've enjoyed the story a lot because they are stumbling into it. They're forced into it against their will, not people who were set up for glory, born to conquer and win the day. Currently, I'm on episode 10 and I'm having a blast. And I give this podcast a 10 out of bathrobes. Well, thank you so much for joining me, my friends. Have a great day.